Jeez, I'm telling you, what a goofball. Sorry, I forgot it was mine. I'm
Yeah.
recording now. Okay.
Okay, thank you
And
for
I'll send it to you after.
okay.
Um, so you know our whole thing about speaking in, well, I use this term and I don't know if you use it, but I always use the term speaking into someone else's listening. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's how it occurs to them. And for CEOs, their listening is what, you know, I've got these issues. I've got, we're either flat in sales or our sales are going like crazy and I can't keep up with the people, or we're just buying this company, or we're just merging, or there's, you know, all these different things. Or we've got a strategy and a vision, but we can't seem to get it implemented. It's just not going the way that we want it to go. And all of those are issues that CEOs face all the time. And so when I'm talking to somebody, I'm kind of asking them, you know, I want to find out about their business, you know, and so it's helpful to know ahead of time, you know, by reading the news online or seeing what they're up to or whatever, so that you have a sense of what's going on. And if somebody's just done a merger, you know, you might offer that some of the work that you do has had a significant impact on the speed with which you can integrate another organization and then combine strategy and vision to actually have it implemented. You know, it's things like that that people struggle with, and they really want to hear us get what their issues are and that we can make a difference in that area. Where I've been successful with companies like companies that I go to that have been growing and then they sort of flatten out, and I learned a bit about them, and I know they're great companies, and I literally tell people, look, you know, we don't come in to fix broken companies. It's not what we do. We work with companies like an Olympic coach would work with an athlete. You're already doing really well, but there are things missing in your performance that you want to impact. Maybe your strategy doesn't, or maybe your culture isn't matching your strategy. You're struggling with trying to get your strategy actually implemented. Maybe your sales are flat. You know, you have meeting after meeting, but nothing's getting done. People are just talking about things, but they're not actually performing. And you can't seem to move the needle. It's just sort of stopped. Assuming that you know some of these things about the company before you get in there, right? Then they start listening to you because they go, yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, well, or they tell you what's going on, or, you know, whatever, that type of thing. It's, I'm trying to think of the people that you deal with, whether they might be into any of these companies that might be potential clients.
You know, as you're speaking, I was thinking about I have an attorney that, you know, I've coached for years off and on. And she's a commercial litigator, so she probably knows about some mergers. And I could, you know, just say, hey, do you know of anything like that happening? But also it makes me think, Raymond James, I think they bought out another company. And I can't remember what the financial company was, but I actually coach a Raymond James agent, so I could find out about that.
Mm-hmm.
I could start with talking to my clients and saying, who do you know that's merged or acquired somebody else? Right?
100%. That's exactly right. Well, or just, you could just say, I'm looking for companies, you know, with 300 or more employees. And, you know, I'd like an introduction to somebody. Who do you know? And they might say, well, so-and-so. Okay, well, tell me about them. And they might say, well, they're a really great company. They're growing really fast. Okay, good. Or maybe there's, you know, they've just got a new CEO in there and da-da-da. I mean, once you find out what's going on with these companies, then you can figure out what to do. But the first thing is, do they have a lead? Do they have anybody they know? And your lawyer might be perfect because she can probably speak with some confidence about your background, at least, you know, in an introduction with somebody. Maybe all she does is say, well, here's somebody, and says, yeah, you can use my name. And they can, you know, you can just call them and say, well, so-and-so said I should give you a shout because, you know, I understand you've just completed a merger or acquisition, or, you know, whatever it is. If you get a lead or get some leads from some of your people, then we can get together on the phone or on Zoom call, and we can look these companies up. We can find out what we know about them. We can talk about an approach, because everyone is going to be different, right? The principle to get, though, is that it's about what they're dealing with. And the more you can understand what that might be, then you can really speak to that when you're talking to them and say, look, we specialize in increasing performance in companies that, have been growing really quickly and then all of a sudden flattened out. Or we specialize with companies that are growing really quickly and they're finding that it's difficult to have everybody communicate and keep things moving because there's so much happening at one time. Almost anything that presents itself to a company, we can talk about how we can impact it, because at the end of the day, doesn't make any difference whether you make a widget or a jet plane. You've got human beings that are doing things, that are talking to each other, and you only manage one conversation at a time. It's just the way the world works. So there is nothing that goes on in a company that we can't impact. All we need to do is speak into their listening so that when we talk to them, they get the problem, they get the depth of it. Well, what would it be like if your culture actually matched the vision, if your strategy was being implemented, if you had specific measurable outcomes that people were actually enrolled in doing and engaged and they were getting it done? What kind of a difference would that make for you? Mm-hmm. And the thing, and here's the other thing is, we are not one-hit wonders. We don't come in and deliver 2 days of information and then walk out and then, let you, leave you to your own devices. That's not who we are. We're interested in results. We will work with you for 9 to 12 months or longer in order to make sure that the training we do with your people starts to take hold, then has an impact on the specific issues that you've got inside your organization, so that at the end of the year, you actually see measurable results as a consequence of the work we've done with you. That's what we do. We are not interested in coming in, having you write a big check. We give you a document that says, here's what to do, and then leave. That is not helpful. And that's not what we're about. Because shifting a culture, shifting the way an organization performs takes time. And we're prepared to put the work in and make that happen. You gonna hire me?
Yeah.
Good.
I would hire you. Okay.
So I think it all comes from having that initial understanding of what they're all about. And, sometimes people say things, well, have you ever worked with a manufacturing company before? Have you ever worked with a law office before? Have you ever worked with a bank before? And I honestly say, there are only a couple of hundred of our colleagues in the world that do this specific type of work. And we have worked with every type of organization. And yes, we've worked with banks. And yes, we've worked with some of the biggest law firms in the country. We can help you. We can do this work. And it's true. Mm-hmm. Guys in New York, they work with huge law firms. And, those guys, what's his name with the you and me, George Banks?
George Martinez, with Banks. And I've been on all those calls.
Right.
Because,
Well, Kelly, I'm so convinced that you have all the skills required to have this be impactful for people. It's just a matter of getting in the door. And getting in the door is really just a matter of communicating with people in a way that they get it. They can see it. They know that we understand what they're talking about. And that's part of what I can do, because when I come in and listen to them, I hear things differently. And I can speak to them. We just talked to this, I'll give you an example. We talked to this guy at this distillery. And he's a guy that's been organizing process management his whole life. And so all he sees, he says vision and strategy, but what he's really saying are numbers. Like, well, we got to hit the numbers that corporate gave us. So we can't set some crazy vision because we have to do this. That's our strategy. And I'm going, holy crap, that's not a strategy. Those are just goals and targets. Mm-hmm. It's how you're going to get there is a strategy. So then I start speaking to him and I says, I get it. What you want to be able to do is impact that bottom line, impact your numbers. You've got to move those forward. But you know what? If you have a vision that people can get really enrolled in and are excited about, then what happens is they start to do those things that you need to have them do as a consequence of just wanting to just go someplace. It's like, nobody wants to iron clothes and wash clothes. But if you say, well, we're going on a trip on Wednesday to someplace and we got to pack, guess what? I'm packing. I'm fired up about it because I'm going someplace that I love, that I think is really great. You set a vision for your company that people buy into. You won't have to push them to get things done. You're gonna have to get out of their way.
Mm, that's
And then
awesome.
he went, oh yeah, I get that. I can see that. I get that. Couldn't get him off of, yeah, but we got to get this done. We got to we got to hit the numbers. We got to deliver, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, once I finished that, he went, oh yeah, I can see that. That would be amazing. And then now all of a sudden we went from, I'm not sure we've got anything in the budget to, well, if it's more than 50 grand, we might have a struggle with it, but yeah, give me a proposal for a year. So, he wasn't even going to have another meeting when we first started because he wasn't sure that there was going to be a value.
Mm.
And all it was taking what he said and turning it around and putting it into a place where he could see what it could mean to him. The how, we never talked about that. Never said a thing about transforming his people or shifting their thinking or helping them. None of that. We just talked about the fact that the vision and setting it properly and having people enrolled in it would actually cause them to do what they needed to do.
And do you do when you do a meeting like that, like an initial meeting, is it on Zoom or is it in person? Like, do you have people who will do a Zoom meeting first, or?
I'm trying to, typically in person. However, we definitely have, like the big hotel company, Brooke. Yeah, we did a Zoom meeting with him and he never called us back. So that worked really well.
Well, you know what I'd even do, John, is like, when I'm up there around Calgary time or Vancouver time, if you actually have a meeting that you're going on, you would let me tag along that meeting before I leave or something, that would also be really, I'd appreciate the opportunity to just, I wouldn't say anything to embarrass you. So.
No, it's okay. But you know what? It might work really well if we got somebody from the group that was interested in having a conversation about what's next. Like Brooke or Kevin, or Sam or Andrew that say, yeah, before we finish with this, let's have a conversation. And maybe we have a conversation on the Monday or the Tuesday.
Yeah.
And just say, here, do you want to have a conversation about possibilities with your company?
Well, any one of those nights,
Yeah, that's true.
We could Monday night, Tuesday, any one of those nights. And I actually think Brooke would be good for that now that you're saying that. And I would love to listen to that and, participate even. But I'd love to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, let's keep it in mind. But that also means that what we should do is we should actively try to set something up around that, with some of them.
Yeah. In Calgary, what I'm warming my Denver people up with is Calgary, because they just bought a shoe company as an investor, like a venture capital opportunity, I guess. And they have been talking about me maybe coaching the woman who owned it before they have basically taken over. But his partner is in Calgary, and he's got other businesses and stuff. So I've never met his partner, but what I wanted to offer this guy a deal to Calgary to get him up there to meet you guys and get his guy connected to you guys up there, because that could be a real opening to some stuff, given you're right there,
Yeah. And what I like to say to these venture capital guys is, do you find sometimes that you invest in companies and they're doing well, but then they plateau or they can't get over a barrier or something happens? That's what we can do. We can come in and have an impact on that almost right away, because we have them see things differently and we have people get past their limitations to succeeding. And as an investor, you want those people to win. And so do we. That's what we do.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have Katie send you the website of this shoe company, and
Yep.
you know, you can just look at it, because I have a call with this guy I think tomorrow night. And if you look at that, there might be some questions you can tell me to ask him related to that. And maybe even before Calgary, I could bring you in that conversation and
Yeah, sure.
start to create that relationship.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with doing it over Zoom. You know, that's
Yeah.
really that does work.
Okay. Well, so what actions should I be taking?
People you know that might be able to give you introductions to other companies, and take them all, because you never know what it might mean. And some of them you might discount, some of you might say, yeah, that's fantastic, you know.
Okay. So I need to create the conversation and enroll them in. Here's what we're up to, and who can you introduce me to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it might be a conversation, you know, you're just checking in with them about how things are going. And then, you know, as the conversation goes, you say, by the way, you know, I'd love to have an impact on companies by doing some of this work inside for them. And if you know of anybody that you think might benefit from, you know, the work that we've done together, I'd love to be able to connect with them. That's what I'm up to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be part of a breakthrough for Kelly Townsend, because she doesn't ask anybody for anything, and who she wound
Right.
up.
Yeah. And referrals are so powerful. You know, there's a company that I coach, and they have a process, and it's just unbelievable. But this guy is a genius when it comes to technology and how to get things working. And he doesn't even do it himself, but he just knows. So, you know, LinkedIn is really difficult to to troll. They're always pushing people out and changing algorithms and things, so that you have to use their tools to go in and scrape it and get the information out of LinkedIn. They don't want anybody coming in and doing it on their own. So it's crazy. There's companies that have built their whole business around helping people get into LinkedIn. And I've used those companies before, but it is really, because you'll be working and then all of a sudden, boom, you get this note from LinkedIn. You've been violating our policy, so you can't, you know, you've been kicked out. And then you got to apply to get back in. And it's because, you know, somebody over in Phoenix is using my password to go in and scrape things and then send me information. Well, if I'm on LinkedIn at the same time, they know two people can't be on with my sign in. So I'm actually having a surrogate do something, which you can't do. Now, it's kind of dumb, because I mean, if I want to have my executive assistant do some things, you know, why can't I do that? And I've used that excuse before and I got around it, but they're always looking at you, right? Well, this guy goes in, and his salespeople go out to meet somebody, and they're all senior executives in accounting firms and stuff all over the world. And when they go in, they just go online, they click a button, and it gives them what they call the hot list. And it's everybody in LinkedIn that person knows, that's at a certain level, you know, like above a VP or something like that, in the area that they're in or anywhere in the world. And then they just go through the list. Say, okay, I've got a list today of some of the people you know. Who do you think would make sense for me to connect with? And they'll go through and they'll take off like 15 people. And then these guys will call and say, you know, I'm the consultant for, you know, Joe at KPMG in Munich, Germany, and he suggested I call you because he thought I might be able to help you out. And they go, oh, that's really cool, you know. That's how it goes. It's, you know, I mean, it is that simple, and it's difficult for us to do sometimes. So you just have to get over it. But that's your lawyers, accountants. They're all people that would have those kind of connections. And then even people that are, you know, who knows, the guys that you've coached, there's bound to be somebody in there. But as you look through one thing to do is go through your LinkedIn or your contact list.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised who might be in there that you haven't talked to in a while, that either might be interested or they might, you know, who knows. But a lot of these people, it's just having a coffee with them, right? And have a conversation about what you're up to, find out what they're up to, And then in the process, it's just, by the way, I've been kind of looking for some new clients, and I'm just wondering who you might know that would be interested in this kind of work.
Okay. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do then. Okay. And I'm going to create a target list of, and go through my LinkedIn, create a target list of the different attorneys that I have worked with and do work with, call them, see how they're doing, and then create that conversation with them. Because I actually have a lot of attorneys that I've coached.
Interesting.
And I really, I get so busy from back-to-back appointments in coaching. I don't maintain my relationships well. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see now, just even if I just schedule, because how I was saying to you, I'm not prepared. Like I'll schedule sales time, but I'm not prepared. But now you've given me something to work on, right? So actually going to those people, getting who the people are that I'm going to call, and start to have that conversation, because and asking people what their presenting issues are. It's like, what are your presenting issues? What is it that you deal with in your business? Well,
what I say to people is, what's keeping you up at night?
What's keeping you up at night?
Because that's what happens. Guys they're sleeping, and all of a sudden, boom. Oh man, how am I going to do this? How am I going to fix that?
Yeah, this is what keeps me up at night.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's right. This is what keeps you up at night. How do I generate some good business? Because it's out there, Also, you talked before about the military, and I know your experience with the Air Force wasn't the best. Are there other branches or other groups or other people that you know in there that might be interested?
Well, interesting that you say that, because Candace and I had a really good conversation on Friday about this team. I don't know if you recall that originally she was, she is an enlisted. She's not an officer, but she's got this officer who really believes in her and wants her to put this team together. It's called like the Tiger Team or something like that. And I said to her that, in day 4, we're really getting into created future. And, she wants to be a landmark forum leader. And she's working on her introduction leader stats and stuff. And I said, you know what, Candace, I said, forum leader is about 4 years away for you right now, because you've got to be accepted in the seminar leader program. You have to apprentice for at least a year. Then you have to lead successfully for at least a year. And then to get in there, you've got to lead SELFs and in the interview process like that. I said, a future is a future where you can impact today. So how can you impact this team, and how can you have the leadership program impact this team that you're creating? I said, we would come and do this program for your team. So I started to put that in with her. My other gal who introduced me to Candace, I was coaching her, and the center manager just told her that they weren't aligned. So she just canceled her coaching contract with me. And I actually have to call the center manager to say, hey, what's going on with that? So because I haven't done anything that's out of alignment, with that. And Joe DiMaggio, I talked to Joe, and he was like, Werner has actually gone to the center managers and said to support the technical affiliates, that they are the work and that they should be supported by them. So I do my little complaining to Joe DiMaggio so I can get my...
Well, that's good though. That's nice that you've got that outlet, because I get stopped sometimes wondering, well, why wouldn't somebody in Landmark recommend somebody to us? I don't know. I don't know why they wouldn't.
It's really a breakdown. People see it as outside, like even some seminar leaders like that I've talked to, it's like, well, really I should be sending people to Landmark, not to you. And then I just had kind of a troublemaker seminar leader say to someone up in Tampa, Kelly's taking all the introduction leaders away from Landmark. And then this person listens to it like the truth, So it's just.
Where are you taking them?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm having them be successful in their businesses.
Right.
And that's the thing is that, a lot of people, when you get in, what I have found in that environment, it's like, it's an inauthenticity that you really care about. Are these people really, is their life working? Is their business working? Are they really taking care of everything they need to take care of? And I never invalidate Landmark,
Yeah.
But the thing is they don't get the quality coaching that they're getting from me. And I think that's part of the problem, But anyway, besides people gossiping and being.
If it wasn't for that, life wouldn't be any fun at all. It'd just be boring. Right. Moving forward.
Okay. Well, this has been very useful, John. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to get to work on it. And it's definitely part of the game that I'm creating with Katie. And listen, if we could end 2019 with that we've closed at least 4 engagements together from my having a breakthrough here, to me, that would be, I'd be over the top on that.
That's awesome. Well, I'd love to be part of that. And to that end, do you want to set a time for our next conversation?
Yeah, that would be great. You tell me what works for you.
Well, I guess it depends on whether, do you want to have a call between Christmas and New Year's or something like that? Or is that enough time? Or do you want to wait? You just have a check-in.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I see that the 27th.
I'm driving back from Charlotte on the 27th. If it's possible to be the 28th.
Let me just see.
In the afternoon, maybe.
That is Friday. Yeah, sure. That day I've got a call at 9 a.m. my time. That's it. I'm open.
Okay, so 9, and are we 2 or 3 hours?
You're 2 hours.
2 hours, so 9, and so,
that's the only thing I've got. So anytime after that, I'm fine. In the afternoon, you said?
Yeah, like 12 o'clock then?
Your time?
Yeah, because that would be after your call, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah, but that's morning. I thought you said you said anytime on the 28th, but I thought you said the afternoon would be better.
Well, the afternoon is better, but I didn't want you to have to wait around. If you have your call.
That would assume that I've got a life, Kelly, and I don't. If I'm not on the phone, I don't know what I do with myself. So.
Well, I thought you did have a life. If you have a girlfriend, don't you have a life?
Well, I suppose that's true. That's true. But she's busy too, so I only see her about once a week. 10 o'clock's fine, because I don't usually spend an hour with that guy. He's usually pretty in and out. So for sure, 10 o'clock would work if it works for you, or we could do it a little bit later.
Okay. Well, how about 10:30? So that would be 12:30 for me.
Yep. I will. That is December 28th, 10:30. I'll send you an invitation so it's got the link on it.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Then I'll just wait for that. Okay.
And if something comes up beforehand, just let me know. But like if all of a sudden something happens and you've got this opportunity you want to chat about, like just let me know. We'll figure out a time.
Okay.
Because it'll be fun. I think we could knock it out of the park, honestly, if we I have no issue about the delivery at all. I have no concerns about the delivery. It's just getting in the door. And once we're in the door, I know that between us, we will have a listening of that person such that we get exactly what their issues are, and then we can figure out a way to deliver it. So,
Okay,
piece to
awesome.
cake. Okay. All right. Have a
Okay.
great day.
Okay, you too, John. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Hopefully we talk to you tomorrow, and I guess I'll see what's going on this afternoon with Brian, because I saw that note from Katie, and I could do 4:30, but I've got to be off by 5 because I got another call, and I don't know what Brian's schedule's like, so I'll try to push him on it. I know
Okay.
he's busy trying to get ready for this call that's in 45 minutes, so I might not get much attention from him till after.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kelly. See ya.
Bye.